Hey everyone, it's Carrie here. I turned 30 on Sunday, which is exciting, but it's kind of crazy because it was literally like 10 years ago, practically to the day, that I started my first business. And over the past week or so, I've just been thinking, oh my gosh, I'm leaving my 20s. I need to like think and reflect on the past 10 years and what I've done in my 20s. So I spent a lot of time writing down things and thinking about all the different things I achieved, and I was just blown away by the adventure of it all and all the crazy things I've done and the highs and the lows, and there have been lots of lows, but there've also been some amazing highs, and just how I've been building businesses for 10 years. It just seems crazy. And so I kind of wrote out my little notepad 30 lessons that I've learned, well, not over the past 30 years, but probably over the past 10 years. Because I was turning 30, I thought I'd like make it into 30. So I thought I'd do a quick Periscope and share with you some of the things that I wrote down, some of the biggest things that I think I've learned, because they've helped me so much. And I just feel like right now I'm in this place where I'm building a business and running a business that I absolutely love. I just feel so passionate about it. I've just put my heart and soul into it. And I've just managed to figure out how to create abundance and happiness and joy in my life. Not all the time, because I feel like as an entrepreneur, things are generally, things can be crazy quite frequently, and there's so many ups and downs. But I just feel like I've figured out how to get past my blocks. I've figured out how to get out of my own way. I've figured out, most of the time. And I just wanted to write it all down and just share it all with you, because I know like the entrepreneurial journey is a crazy one, and I love hearing other people's lessons and experiences. So I thought I would share mine with you in this Periscope, which I need to be quick about, so I need to stop waffling. Anyway, so here's my list of the 30 lessons I've learned. I'm just going to run through them and share them with you. If you like any of them, tap the screen so I know that you've liked them, or share your experiences too. So my first lesson that I've learned, the number one thing, and this has just been huge for me, is this. I learned that success is not an accident. If you want to be successful, you have to do it on purpose. And I realized this when reflecting on the past 10 years of building businesses and thinking about how I managed to build two really successful businesses. And I've had started other businesses in the mix I would like to add that haven't been successful. And I realized that success happens on purpose, that you make it happen. And with the two businesses that I've made really successful, I was doing really specific things that were making them successful. I was so focused on what I needed to achieve, and I don't know, I was taking the right actions. I could go in, this is a huge topic in itself, but I made it happen on purpose. If you want to be successful, then you have to do it on purpose. And that is just all about, I think, following your heart, following what is you absolutely love, what you're passionate about, and just taking consistent action all the time, no matter how hard it is, no matter how challenging it becomes, just taking action to help taking little steps towards getting to where you want to go. So that was the first thing. The second thing, which leads on from that, is the second lesson that I learned is to condition yourself for success. This is so big because I feel like success is kind of a mindset anyway, but if you go out there and talk to anyone that's really made something for themselves and is successful, guaranteed they've got this mindset. So whenever I do a talk, I did a TEDx talk, if you want to check it out, it's nearly 1 million views, woohoo! But in my TEDx talk, I started off by asking, the first thing I said was, please can I have a volunteer? So I didn't introduce myself or anything, so no one knew who I was. And I think me then saying, can I have a volunteer? People were like, oh my gosh, who's this crazy girl? And what is she going to get me to do? I don't want to volunteer. And instantly, the majority of the audience started freaking out in their heads, being like, oh, what does she want? I don't know. I'm not going up on that stage in front of 1,000 people. It's terrifying. And then out of the audience of 1,000 people, there was like one guy that came up to the stage. And when he got to the stage, I said, thank you. I asked for his name, said, thank you so much, took out £20 from my back pocket and handed it to him and told him he'd go and sit back down, and got the audience to give him a round of applause. And then I said to the audience, why didn't you volunteer? Because the thing is, the reason people didn't volunteer is because they had that little voice in their head that was saying, oh my gosh, what's she going to get us to do? And they were like terrified, or they couldn't be bothered, or whatever the reason was. It was what was going on in their head that meant that they missed out on an opportunity. And I think this is like this in life in general, that we miss out on so many opportunities if we have the wrong things going through our heads. And so I think conditioning yourself for success is one of the most important things that we can do in business and in life in general. It is just so powerful. So that's what I did. I went on like my mission success, and I learned how to really condition myself and really tune in on myself and get rid of that negative self-talk so that I could really break through the blocks and get to where I want to be. I need to be a lot quicker on these, going through these, if I'm going to get through 30. I will try. But yes, don't listen to your head. Well, the thing is, it's true. If your head's talking nonsense to you, don't pay attention. Okay, number 3, tune into yourself and listen to what comes your way. I think it's so important to tune in with yourself, just pay attention to what's really going on, what you're thinking. Lesson number 4 was get clear on what you want and follow the feeling. I think it's so important to follow the feeling, because sometimes our logical brains get in the way and tell us that it's not a good idea, that we can't do it. But I think if you've got a feeling for something and it fills you with joy and excitement and happiness, then follow it. Follow the feeling. Okay, lesson number 5 was don't worry about not having it all figured out. Oh my goodness, why didn't I know this at the beginning? I think this is one of the things that people struggle with the most. We think that we should have it all figured out. We think that we should have all the dots connected, and we don't really have any dots connected moving forward whatsoever. And it's freaky and it's scary, and it's hard as an entrepreneur because of so much on your shoulders, and you want to be able to have a little crystal ball you can look into to tell you what's going to happen and how it's going to work out, but you don't. And I think leaning into that and just being comfortable with knowing that it's okay to not have everything figured out was the best thing I ever did, because it just took the pressure off myself and made me feel so much better. So yeah, don't worry about not having it all figured out, because no one does. Lesson number 6 was add value. Oh my gosh, this has been my absolute mission with the Female Entrepreneur Association, is to add insane amounts of value all the time, and it's helped me to build the most incredible network. So whatever you do, add a value. Lesson number 7 is create amazing experiences. Create amazing experiences for yourself, create amazing experiences for your team, create amazing experiences for your customers, for your followers, for your subscribers, for everyone. Just create amazing experiences, and then people will love hanging out with you. They'll love what you do, and it's just always better. So create amazing experiences. Lesson number 8 was get clear on your mission, your why, and build your brand on it. I think, again, this is so integral to what I've been doing with the Female Entrepreneur Association. I always got so clear on what my mission was, and it was so simple. It was to inspire and empower women to build successful businesses. That was it. And I've integrated it into everything that I've done and into the brand, so that everything I do, every message I send out, every post I create, every little thing that gets designed resonates completely with that mission, with that why. So always get really focused on your mission, your why, and then build your brand on it. And I always go back and revisit what I'm doing, because it's so easy to forget and go off track. So always be reconnecting yourself with that why. Lesson number 7 was don't be afraid to be you. Be afraid not to be you. So what does it mean to be you? So recently I did this exercise where I wrote down what it meant to be me, and I'd never done anything like it before, and I didn't really know how to begin it. So I decided to get a piece of paper, and I started by writing being Carrie means, and then, or at least I think that's, yeah, it said being Carrie means. It was a bit weird writing it like I was in the third person, but I sat there and wrote what it meant to be me, and like just wrote out anything that came up. And by the end of it, I realized so many things about myself that I never even realized before about what it actually means to be me. And it was such a powerful exercise, because I think that we should like be more afraid not to be ourselves, because we live in a time now where people can see through when you're not being yourself. People pick up on it, but yeah, we're so afraid sometimes to be ourselves, because we look around at other people, or people tell us to be a certain way, or we look at the people who are amazing, we think I want to be amazing just like them, and so we end up being more like someone else than ourselves, and it just doesn't work. But we need to have the courage to be ourselves, and so do that little exercise and get a pen and a piece of paper and write out what it means to be you, and just be that person, and it'll be amazing. Lesson number 7 was build your list. Draw in an audience of like-minded people who love what you're doing. I wish I'd done this sooner. With my first business, it was completely different. It was to do with mobile phones, so it wasn't really about list building so much. But with the Female Entrepreneur Association, I did start list building fairly early, but wasn't particularly proactive until probably a good year or so into it. And I wish I had been a bit more proactive, because I think that's really important. It's so important to draw in people who are like you, who resonate with your message, with what you have to share. So don't be afraid to start a list and to start spreading your message with the world, because the right people will stumble across you when you put yourself out there. Okay. Lesson number 7, it will take longer than you think. This has been the case for me anyway, and for most entrepreneurs I know, the exception of the odd one or two who somehow seem to have had overnight success, but I don't really think it is overnight success, to be honest. I think it's probably been years in the making, in one way or another. But it will take so much longer. It always does. I remember when I started the Female Entrepreneur Association, or maybe it was, I can't remember, I think it was the Female Entrepreneur Association. Someone said to me, it's going to take you at least 7 years to make this really successful. I was like, 7 years? Are you kidding me? I've already built a successful business. It's going to take me no time. Oh my gosh. It didn't take me 7 years, but it took me 3 or 4 years of grafting and going through those moments of thinking, am I ever going to make this work? Am I going to pull this off? Seriously, so many times I thought things like that. It took way longer, and then by after a few years into it, I just thought, you know what, it will get there when it gets there, and it has, and it's amazing now. So I think that realizing that it's probably going to take a little bit longer is a good thing, because it makes you relax and you think, phew, I can take my time with this now. So yeah. And then lesson number 12 was keep the faith and trust that it will work out. And you need to keep the faith and trust that it will work out when things are taking long and you have a bazillion challenges that you're facing because you've never done what you're trying to do before. So yeah, so I think for me that's been a big one. I have a vision board, and on it I have the word trust, because I think it's so important when you're trying to turn your idea into a reality, which as an entrepreneur you're trying to do all the time because you're always coming up with new ideas and you don't know how to do them because you've never done them before. And you have to have that trust that it will work out as it's supposed to. And I feel like that for me is one of the biggest things that I have ever done, biggest lessons I have learned. I need to hurry up now because my call is, someone just messaged me and I'm probably finding out when we're speaking. Anyway, the lesson number 13, listen to guided visualizations. Oh my gosh, I love guided visualizations so much. I feel like it helps me to really tune in with myself, to tune in with my goals, to get connected, because it's so easy to get disconnected. I can get disconnected all the time. I can be so in my head sometimes. And so listening to a guided visualization can help just snap me out of it, to help me to reconnect to myself, my goals, my vision. So definitely do it. We've got a free one over on the website if you want to go and download it. Lesson number 14, network like a crazy person. This is one of the most important things for building momentum. When I started FEA, I networked like a crazy person all the time, online and offline, and it was just so powerful for building momentum, and that's what we all need, momentum. So network like crazy, get out there. Number 15, get some business besties. Best thing ever. Because business can be lonely. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely. I think you need people that you can turn to and you can pick up the phone to or have a Skype chat with who get it. That you can be like, oh my gosh, this happened today. Has this ever happened to you? And they're like, yeah, it happens to me all the time. And you're like, oh, okay, I feel okay now. Thanks. So get some business besties and people that are on your wavelength, people that, get what you're doing. It's just amazing. 16, listen, learn and grow. I just think this is so important, to always be learning and listening and growing. I have never stopped learning, and I don't think anyone ever stops learning. And now we live in this world of information, and there's so much out there and so many different resources and people to help us, like Periscope. Look at Periscope now. So I just feel like, be a sponge, or like, don't be a sponge to stuff you don't want. Take the bits that resonate with you and that help you and leave the rest. But always be open to learning, because I think it's so powerful. And that's how I've really built successful businesses, by learning from other people, because I never had the answers at the beginning. 17, acknowledge your achievements. So easy to forget to do. So easy to forget to do. But it's so important to do, because how often do you achieve great things and then then think, oh, on to the next thing now. So even take like 5 seconds now to think about what you've achieved this year, big and the small and the tiny, and just be really proud of yourself for doing it. Just acknowledge that you've done it, and be kind to yourself. Number 18, be grateful daily. I think this is so important. Again, it's one of those things that's so easy to forget to do. So every night before I go to bed, I always think of 3 things that I am most grateful for that day. Usually they're the same things over and over again, but I just take a moment to really feel grateful for it, because I think it's a really powerful thing to do. Number 19, know that confusion is part of the journey. This is a massive lesson I learned. I used to just be in a perpetual state of confusion building businesses, because there was always something I didn't know how to do, and it was just so blooming confusing and overwhelming. And then when I realized one day that everyone is confused, even the most insane entrepreneurs out there that we know of, they will be confused, not all the time, but they will be confused and go through phases of total confusion. And I think that's all part of the journey. And it's so easy to forget that and to feel like you're an absolute weird, crazy person because you haven't got it together and you're confused all the time. You're like, why? I shouldn't be confused, but I am confused. And I think that when I realised and acknowledged that it was okay to be confused, it made me feel so much better. Again, just took the pressure off myself from thinking that I had to be perfect and thinking that I had to have everything figured out. So yeah, that was a big lesson that I learned. Number 20, be kind and care more. Oh my goodness, this is so important. It's so easy to be kind and care for people. And I think when you do that, people feel it, and then you'll attract more and more of the right people to you, because you're a nice person, and you should be a nice person. So I have a thing, whenever I go for a meeting or meet someone new or anything like that, I always try and say to myself consciously, do whatever you can to be the kindest person, to really make them feel like you care. And it's so powerful when you do it, because, you know, have you ever met someone and afterwards you've walked away and you think, oh, it was so nice to be with them because they really cared, they really seemed interested. You remember them, don't you? And you want to talk about them. So I always want to be, or try and be, that person that will pay attention, that will care, because I do care. And being kind is something that every single one of us can do. So I feel like it's a huge thing. Number 21, value yourself. Remind yourself of how great you truly are. Big one. Especially, this is something that I struggle with so much and always have done, is valuing myself, and literally have to remind myself to be kind to myself and to realise that I've got a lot to give, and that there's so many great things that I've done, and to value myself more. So that's a big lesson that I've learned, and I think continuously learn and have to remind myself of, because I don't know, it doesn't for some reason come very naturally to me. So yeah, big lesson for me. Number 22, don't compare yourself to anyone else. Oh my gosh, so many times I've derailed myself comparing myself to other people and being like, oh my gosh, they're so amazing, why am I not more like them? I think we all do it, but I learned I saw a quote once that said, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. We are all on our own unique journeys, and we're all at different phases, and so you can never compare yourself to someone else, because you don't have the same journey, so it's silly. You can't ever do that. And so I try to not compare myself anymore. And when I do compare myself and feel myself slipping down the hole of negativity, it makes me feel really bad about myself, I stop and I try and turn it around and think, okay, find this inspiring. How, you see someone that's like so fired up and inspired in their own lives, and I think, right, why don't you focus on firing yourself up and getting inspired about what you've got to offer and your life and the great things that you're doing? And I shift my focus back to myself and try and fire myself up and be inspired about all the great journeys and adventures and exciting things I have going on. And it generally tends to help. So yeah, don't compare yourself. Number 23, be consistent. Oh my gosh, this is a huge one for me. In fact, if it wasn't for this, I would never have got to where I am today, because when you're trying to build a Facebook fan page or a following or doing anything and it's not working, and it's so slow and it's not really happening, it's so easy to feel like, oh, this isn't going to work, I'm not going to carry on with it anymore. But you have to push through, and you have to be consistent, and you have to keep it up. And I think for me, that's one of the massive reasons why I've built such a big network with the Female Entrepreneur Association, because in those beginning days when there was no one really paying attention, I just kept on going, keep adding value, keep putting it out there, and then people will find it, and you won't, well, people won't find it, that you put it out there, and that's why they find it. So yeah, massive lesson, be consistent. Number 24, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there in a big way. You have an amazing message, people need to hear it, so don't ever be afraid to put it out there in a big way. Get online, post things out on social media, start an email list and message those people, and just put yourself out there, even though it's scary. I remember when I started doing videos back in 2012 and I was terrified, and they were pretty bad when I look back now, but I put myself out there, and now those videos get viewed by people even now today, and it was just one of the best things I've ever done. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and to put your message out there, because people need to hear it. 25, make good decisions. This is a fairly, you think you make good decisions, but I remember reading a quote from Anthony Robbins that said, your destiny is determined by the choices you make. Choose now, choose well. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this was back before FEA and when I'd been really stuck in a rut. I remember thinking, I have been making terrible decisions based on terrible frame of mind. And it's just like how I started at the beginning with number 1, success is not an accident. You have to be successful on purpose. And it comes back to what's going on in your head and the thoughts that you're thinking. then determine the decisions that you make. And I realised that you have to make good decisions if you want to get to where you want to get, and that means paying attention. That means making the decision to not listen to the negative committee in your head that decides to meet and tell you that you can't do it or you're not good enough. And it means listening to your gut instinct, to know, following the hunch that you know is right for you. Knowing that, having the courage to make a decision, to have the courage to put yourself out there and to not let fear hold you back. I mean, those types of good decisions, you have to make them. This is your life, and you've got to put yourself out there and shine, because otherwise what is life about other than making it what you want to make it? So make good decisions so that you can live an incredible and amazing life. Number 26, create a schedule. This is such a boring one, but I thought, it's so important, and it's a massive lesson that I've learned, because as an entrepreneur, there's no one there telling you what to do and when to do it. So you have to just checking the time quickly. So you have to have a business timetable so you can keep yourself in check and that you don't go crazy. So yeah, over the past few years, I've had business timetables, and it's been so helpful for helping me stay on track and to help me to be motivated and to know what I'm doing and to be more productive. So yes, create a business timetable / schedule for yourself. Number 27, allow yourself to chill out and take a break. Oh my gosh, I didn't do this for such a long time. I remember going for years and years and years without going on holiday or really taking a break, and it was a bit stupid when I could have just taken a break. What's going to happen? Things aren't going to fall apart if you take a break, and I used to think things would, but yeah, I've slowly come to learn that it's important to chill out and just take a break and put yourself first sometimes. Number 28, dream big. And I think this goes back to my point about the fact that we all have just one life, and it's so important that we live it doing what we want. We dream big, dream crazy dreams, and go out there and know that you can make it happen, because when it's over, and we can't come back and do it again. And so just dream big and go for it and just make incredible things happen. Number 29 is have patience, which I think ties in with a lot of the other things I've said, but this is a big thing that I've learned, is to have patience, because things don't happen overnight. Things do take time, and you have to be okay with it. And number 30, remember it's all one big adventure and experiment. This has been probably one of the, well, I keep saying this about all of them, but it's seriously one of the biggest and the best lessons I've learned, is that it's all an adventure and an experiment. You do a launch and it doesn't work. It was an experiment and it didn't work out. You try a new experiment. If you do something and it does work, then it's an amazing thing. It's just all part of this crazy thing we call life, and it's all about having this adventure and doing these little experiments and to see what works and what doesn't. And some things will work, some things won't work, and that's cool. And that's really helped me to keep sane, because there's been so many times I felt like a crazy person building businesses or thinking, yeah, I've got this idea, I'm going to try it out. And I think the only thing that's really kept me going is thinking, you know what, Carrie, this is just an adventure. It's all fun. It's an experiment. Just do it, test it. What's the worst that can happen? So anyway, I'm glad you liked my little tips. So those are my 30 lessons that I've learned for turning 30 at the weekend on Sunday. So I just wanted to share them with you. So hopefully you've enjoyed them. Tap the screen, give me share some hearts if you did enjoy it. What I'd love to hear from you, if for anyone, what is the number one lesson that you've learned over the years? I would love to hear. Leave some comments so I can see. This was so great, thanks, awesome. Oh, thanks guys. Anyone want to be brave enough? Oh, yay, I'll see you soon. Yes, I will see you soon. Michelle, chill out. Still, don't doubt yourself. Consistency, yeah, oh my gosh. Don't give up. I love it. Another consistency, that I'm actually okay. Yes, we are all okay. We are all amazing. Give great content. Don't focus on competition. Value myself. Dream big. The importance of business besties. Oh, I love this. This is all so good. Oh, feel the fear, but dive in. Be resilient. Yes. Oh, well, thank you all so much for sharing your biggest lessons with me. Consistency and sometimes doing things that seem counterproductive, like time off. Oh, I love it. I feel very inspired and empowered right now, which is good because I've got a workshop to go and do, so you filled me up with inspiration, so thank you so much. Someone said, sorry if I haven't mentioned, but is this list available on a blog or something? Oh, it's not actually, but I might turn it into a blog post. Thanks for that. I'll put something out there. But I just wanted to make this Periscope because I haven't done one in ages, and I wanted to test out my new little stand, which is quite cool because now I don't have to hold it. my hands are free. Anyway, I really need to go now because I've got to jump on this workshop with the amazing Rebecca Campbell, which is amazing. Like I said, definitely go and check out her book if you haven't got it already. Light is the New Black. It's so inspiring. And if you are joining me for the workshop, then I will see you very soon. But bye everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed this little Periscope, and thanks for joining me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye bye.